The hierarchy is a list of control measures and is arranged in three broad levels, which involve eliminating the hazard, minimizing the risk, and using backup controls. Let's take a closer look at the control measures that make up the hierarchy. In this activity, you'll need to work your way down the hierarchy of controls by clicking on each level of control, starting with level 1. You must look at all of the different levels of hierarchy of controls to complete this part of the course. Eliminating hazards is the most effective and most preferred method of control, as it removes the hazard completely. For a hazardous manual task, this might mean automating the task, such as using remote controls, or delivering loads directly to a delivery point to eliminate the need for multiple handling. When elimination is not possible, the risk should be minimized using one or more of the control measures further down the hierarchy. Level 2 controls are used when elimination is not possible. Level 2 controls include substitution, such as replacing heavy items with smaller, lighter, and more easily handled items. And engineering, such as making sure that shelving heights are not too low or too high, and using mechanical lifting aids. Level 3 controls are generally backup controls. This means that they should only be used in combination with other higher order controls, after all other options have been exhausted, or until a more effective control can be put into place. Level 3 controls include administrative controls, such as supervision and training, and personal protective equipment, PPE, such as wearing shock-absorbent shoes. To reduce the risk of injury associated with manual tasks, you should consider all of the potential sources of risk that may need to be controlled. The main sources of risk to consider are the nature, size, weight, or number of things being handled, the design and layout of the work area, the systems of work, and the environment in which the work is being performed. Let's take a look at how to assess and control some of the risks associated with hazardous manual tasks. When assessing a hazardous manual task, you should identify how force will need to be applied to perform the task. As elimination is the preferred approach to controlling risk, you should then look for ways of eliminating the manual part of the task altogether. This might mean finding a mechanical solution that does not place any load on your body, such as a lifting device operated by remote control. If you are unable to remove the need to use your body to apply force, you should consider level 2 controls to help reduce the amount of force required, such as replacing hand tools with power tools, adjusting the height of benches, trolleys or shelves to reduce stooping and bending, or using mechanical lifting aids. Mechanical aids include trolleys, forklifts, conveyors, cranes, lifting hoists, loading dock levelers, turntables, hand winches, and hydraulic pumps. Most manual tasks will involve some sort of load. As with other manual tasks, you should always look for ways to reduce the amount of force you need to apply with your body to handle the load. To do this, you need to consider the type of load you are handling, as well as its size, weight, and shape. Special attention may need to be given to loads that are heavy, bulky, difficult to grip, awkward, unstable, slippery or wet, live animals or persons, hot or cold, or dangerous. Click on each object to look at ways of changing different types of loads to reduce the amount of force required to handle them. If a load is heavy or bulky, see if you can divide it into smaller loads, or replace heavy items with smaller items that are easier to handle. Use a mechanical aid, such as a trolley, or share the load with another person. If a load is difficult to grip, you may need to use handles or non-slip gloves. This will allow you to position your hands in a way that reduces the amount of force required to hold the load. You should always check loads that could be unstable or move unpredictably. Unstable loads can topple and fall, which can lead to sudden force or crush injuries. When stacking a load, you should always stack items neatly on a level surface. Only stack items to a height that is stable, and stack heavy items towards the bottom of the load. You should never attempt to remove objects from the middle or the bottom of a stack. The nature of some loads may introduce risks other than those relating to the manual nature of the task. For example, a load involving sharp equipment could put you at risk of a cut injury. Where possible, you should try to eliminate the need to handle loads that could be harmful, such as loads containing sharp equipment, hazardous chemicals, or hot materials. If you are unable to eliminate the need to handle a dangerous load, you should consider a Level 2 control. This might involve placing the load in an appropriate container and using a mechanical device to handle it. You may also need to use appropriate PPE, such as heat-resistant gloves for handling hot loads. PPE is a Level 3 control and should only be used as a last resort or in combination with other higher-level controls. In this activity, you need to identify examples of safe and unsafe loads. Drag notes showing safely stacked loads to the right. Drag notes showing unsafe loads to the left. That's right. Safe loads are stable and stacked, with heavier items towards the bottom. This load is now safe to move. That's right. Safe loads are stable and stacked, with heavier items towards the bottom. This load is now safe to move. That's right. Safe loads are stable and stacked, with heavier items towards the bottom. This load is now safe to move. That's right. Safe loads are stable and stacked, with heavier items towards the bottom. This load is now safe to move. The work environment where you are performing a manual task can increase the risk of a manual task injury. It can also introduce the risk of other types of injury, such as injuries caused by obstacles, like slip and trip hazards. When assessing the environment, make sure that you are not confined to a tight working space that requires you to adopt awkward postures. There are no abrupt changes or irregularities in floor level. Where the conditions are suitable, lighting and ventilation are adequate. The temperature of the work area is not too high or low, and your pathway is free from obstructions. Click on each feature in the work environment to learn more about how it can represent a risk when you are performing a manual task. You must look at each hazard to complete this part of the course. Areas where there are changes in the levels of the floor, such as slopes, steps, stairs, ledges and ramps, may require the application of more force when performing a manual task. They may also put you at a greater risk of slipping, tripping or falling, and should be avoided where possible. For example, an alternative to carrying an item up a flight of stairs could be using an elevator. Weather conditions can increase the force required to perform some manual tasks. For example, gusts of wind can suddenly throw you off balance, putting sudden stress on your musculoskeletal system as you adjust. If you are working in windy conditions, you should try to reduce the size of the load and make sure that your clothing and footwear are appropriate. Working in a hot, cold or humid environment can affect your physical ability, such as by making gripping objects more difficult. Cold environments may also increase the risk of hand-arm vibration injuries. When working in these environments, you should be aware of surfaces or items that have been heated or cooled. If you are performing physical work, You should take regular breaks and drink plenty of fluids.
Areas where lighting is too low or too bright
can lead to the adoption of awkward postures and can obscure other environmental hazards. You should try to make sure that the quality of light allows you to see what you are doing and where you are going.
Different types
of floor surfaces may create different amounts of friction, which can require different amounts of force to perform some tasks, such as pushing a trolley across carpet. They may also include slip and trip hazards. Floor surfaces should be clean and tidy. Where possible, obstacles that could create slip or trip hazards or require workers to adopt awkward postures while performing hazardous manual tasks should be removed.
We all
have different physical capabilities. It is essential when performing manual tasks that you work safely and comfortably within your own limitations. Your physical capacity will be affected by your age, skills and experience, relevant medical conditions or injuries, physical stature, general health and fitness, use or abuse of drugs and alcohol, attitude and stress levels. Your level of fitness should match the demands of the task you are undertaking. Any physical limitation due to health factors or pregnancy should be discussed with your manager or supervisor before attempting a manual task.
Knowing what
you are capable of also means knowing what you need to know to perform a task safely. If you're not sure how to perform a manual task safely, refer to any documentation or instructions for advice.